everyone. Thank you for joining us at this evening's Off the Stage event presented by Mubadala. My name is Chloe Delania. I'm a senior theater student at NYU AD, and I'm an Arts Center intern. This evening's Arts Chat, Building a Life as an Artist, is presented in partnership with NYU AD Art Gallery and NYU AD Career Development Center. This series is part of Off the Stage, which also includes community dinners, post-show Q&As, visits to NYU AD classes, and Arts Chat. To know more about our Off the Stage events, sign up to our newsletter and/or visit our website. And now, we are thrilled to welcome Lebanese singer-songwriter Nurzy, artist, educator, and choreographer Mary Chase, theater director, actor, and producer Gautam Goenka, and last but not the least, artist and curator Dania Al Tamimi. Thank you for joining us for this evening and be part of tonight's conversation. I want to kick things off by diving into your individual journeys. I know you work across multiple disciplines and have come from different and diverse backgrounds. And we would love to hear, how did you each end up building a life here? And to follow up, what parts of your story feel the most present in your work right now? Maybe we can start with on this side.
Yes, sure. I think for me, it wasn't a plan for me to become an artist in the UAE. Moving here was very random. It wasn't a decision that I thought of. I just went with the flow, listened to my gut. I found myself here seeing all these opportunities and then realizing that art is really appreciated and an artist is respected, which is something I wasn't used to. And this is where it hit me like, oh, I can actually build my life as an artist and just be who I am. It was always in the back of my head, like, it will never be something that is sustainable, something full-time, something that I can make money from and, you know, just tell people like, yes, this is my job, this is what I do, and this is like my talent that actually turned into a career. So it was very random for me, but I just went with the flow and kept on taking every opportunity that came my way. I think that's the lesson that I would, like the advice that I would give others if someone asked me about this, just trying things here and there, taking opportunities, learning from them, and then, you know, just climbing this ladder, enjoying the journey as well. It was never me reaching a certain destination. It's just the fact that I'm here with you talking about it is something that I'm proud of.
Sure. We planned to move to UAE because of my husband's career, and at the time I was producing shows in Washington, D.C. and was teaching at 2 different universities there. So one of the first things I did, knowing that we were moving to Abu Dhabi, was introduce myself to Bill and to meet people in the arts here in Abu Dhabi. When we arrived, I didn't know what to expect, similar to you, but I did know that I wanted to continue to offer opportunities for communities to perform. And so that has really been my focus in the last 4 years that we've been here, is to create opportunities for young, new artists, seasoned artists, post-professionals like myself, artists that did perform other places in the world and ended up here. And so part of that journey has been to work with the 421 Arts Campus to build the Performance Collective and Performance Collabs in the last few years with my colleague Carlos Pez Gonzalez. And also to work with the Abu Dhabi arts community through educating children in dance. And I am directing the Emirates School of Dance here in Abu Dhabi. So most of what I'm doing now is actually intentionally off stage, because I would really like to create and continue to create opportunities where performance can happen, not in a proscenium and not in a planned buy a ticket sort of way, but in something much more intentional about building art through community and building community through art.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. So Gautam, I'm actually originally from India, but I've grown up here in the UAE. So spent all my life here. It's been 35 plus years. Undergraduate, high school, university, all through the UAE, and I had a very strong passion for theatre and performing arts. Back then, when I came out of university, very few opportunities, very few avenues for doing theatre or performing arts, let alone spaces to do them in. So I started my way up through community theatre, building out community theatre groups, bringing people together and showcasing the strength of the UAE, which is in its diversity and its inclusion of various folks. We started telling stories both from East, West, and from here, and started bringing them to life using the multicultural population of the UAE. 10 years ago, prompted by, again, so, as was mentioned by my friends on the panel, with, no real idea of what I want to do over here, we said, listen, there's no space to perform theatre, there's no venue to perform. So approached Al Sarkal Avenue in Dubai, which was kind of just making a name for itself. There were news that they were going to expand. We said, sure, we'd like to take a warehouse and convert it into a theatre. And with no other idea except that, took a warehouse and started working on building a theatre. No idea of programming, no idea how programming was done or anything like that. And soon, we celebrated 10 years last week. Thank you. And in 10 years, we've had performances in over 26 languages, original plays coming out, a thriving performing arts community, a theatre community that calls Junction its home. And now we are starting to become what my dream always was. The UAE becomes a net exporter of talent and stories. So we start telling our stories internationally. And that's what's slowly starting to happen. We're starting to see more original work come out. We're starting to see writers that are coming out, of course, with the support of wonderful educational institutes like NYU and the work that they do. And that journey has been very, very rewarding. As again mentioned earlier, there was no destination in mind. This is what I want to do. I don't think there's a destination in mind even now. But it is what feels right, what we think the community here needs, and to keep building it through various initiatives. Anything that helps that performing arts community, very specifically theatre is an area that I specialize in, but we also cater to storytellers, we cater to other performing artists, but we'll start keeping to invest in that and start making it bigger. So that's me.
My name is Dania Al Tamimi. I graduated as a fine artist, and ever since I was in college, I was really, really interested in curation, but I wasn't very sure what that does look like. Took a few master classes here and there, but then through Munira Saleh and her mentorship, I got into the world of curatorial practices and so on. And but through the journey, I really didn't want to sort of just become a solo curator and leave my art practice behind. Really wanted to sort of find a way to cultivate both. And I feel like right now I'm in the stage where I can sort of see the bridge between them, and I see how an art practice can really feed into that curatorial practice and vice versa. We spoke about this before, but really the element of storytelling becomes sort of the bridge through that. I feel like, as you all shared, we all have stories that we want to share, and the medium is what becomes different, and sometimes you get to tell it as your own, and some other times you get to tell it through other artists and so on.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey. I mean, I would too if I will share my journey. I would never imagine that I'll be here studying theater. And since we're on the topic of looking back, what are some skills you only realized later in your career that were actually essential for sustaining an art practice here in the UAE? Maybe we can start here.
Oof. I mean, how much time do you have?
Take your time.
I think something that we always, or unfortunately sometimes dismiss, is the gentleness that comes in. You don't only need to be gentle with your journey and your process and be patient with that, but really hold that space of gentleness with everyone around. And through that, you'll find people that align with you. Through that, you find people that actually share the same journeys, and then you create your communities and sub-communities through that.
For me, I'll divide it into two buckets. There is a commercial aspect to this. So understanding the commercial side of the arts and how does that work? Because if you want to sustain a lifestyle, then something's got to pay the bills. So how do you understand that? That was something I had no idea about. So really working to understand that through the journey, I understood where the commerce of this will come in. And the second is the love and the interest in the arts. Now as an artistic director curating the season at our small little black box theater, understanding what people like, what they don't like, where do we want to experiment, where do we want to give them tried and tested, that little finding that right formula. I don't say we've got it yet, but finding that right formula you learn over a period of time. So two different aspects for me. Commercial side is quite important if you are planning to do this full time. If you're not, if this is something you're dabbling in on the side, or it's something that you're interested in and there's something else that's paying the bill, great. Then you don't even have to worry about that side, which was me for the longest time. But the moment you come to the balance side, then you have to think on commerce and on, and then the creative side and the curation of that.
It's a great question. So in the last 25 years, I think I've moved 12 times, 13 times. So this journey is a journey that I've done a million times, but here in UAE is, of course, a different journey. As an artist in UAE, the journey that I think, the piece of the journey that I couldn't have done anywhere else, that I had to step back, is to recognize that this is a beautiful big city that in the arts functions as a small town. And that's so beautiful in many ways, but also talking about entrepreneurialism and commercialism is finding the right network and weaving the right web so that the work can be seen by others. So because this is a beautiful big city with but a small town feel in the arts, how do I, as an artist, as an educator, ensure that it's not the same 20 people in the room every time? And I know those of you who are artists in the room, we know each other. We've seen each other at each other's events, or we met at a different event. And as I said before, I'm interested in community. Of course, that doesn't mean the same community over and over, but creating opportunities for new people to meet and start to make their own work. And so when that happens, then I feel the success. But moving back to answer the question more clearly, I think that it's important for artists to try to step outside of the realm of I'm in the box that is art, and try to reach out beyond to see if it's possible for your work to be seen somewhere, perhaps where no art has been seen before in Abu Dhabi. And Abu Dhabi, of course, with Manar and with Abu Dhabi art and all of the public art available, the audience is ripe for it. It's just a matter of taking that leap of faith with yourself and doing the work to be able to present elsewhere, not always in the theater.
I think building on that, a skill that I've personally been practicing is having the audacity to ask for things. The audacity to ask for an in-kind support, to ask to perform at a show, to ask for a contact, to basically put myself out there regardless of maybe hearing a no. And I apply this not just to my music, like also personally in everything in my life. And I'm improving, I'm getting better at it, especially when you see results. You're like, that wasn't so bad, I just asked, why not? And I think this also reflects on how much you believe in your talent and how much you believe in the project you're doing, or the song you want to perform, or any kind of art you're doing. So just having the audacity to just be there, go to this event, even if it's a 2-hour drive, because you know you're going to meet someone that you can actually have a nice conversation with, and that's going to create this connection and so on. So
Thank you. I know this topic of like financial sustainability in arts has been and is still ongoing on how, although there are no very strict method on how to do it, but everyone has their own journey, has their own path, And with these, the narratives that you've mentioned, I hope it is going to be helpful for us emerging and also professional artists. And so I have a specific question for Nurzy. Is that right?
Yes,
Nurzy.
Nurzy.
Yes. When you write songs that move between two or more languages and cultures, how do you protect the depth and meaning of each language and tradition? If you could please walk us through your process for that.
So to touch on that, the songs, like my previous songs that I've already released, have had some kind of bilingual element to it. The current project, my debut album that I'm working on, is purely in Arabic, and that wasn't like a decision, it just felt more natural. And but if I want to answer your question specifically, I think it just depends on your lyrical style and the message you want to portray and who's your audience, whether it's a song that you want to send a certain message, or is it just a song you're expressing something. Also, I feel, to be honest, we've been the past couple of years really pressured by having to do bilingual, because then you're gonna have people who don't understand Arabic listen to you, but do this, but don't do that. And I just stopped listening to all of that. I just what did my little young Noor want? And then I just went back to that, and that's how I came up with a full-on Arabic album. And I think that I just don't care anymore about being fit in the current industry. And I think once you stop listening to all of that and listen to what you really want, is when you actually are your most authentic self, and people notice that. So I currently don't have that kind of struggle trying to balance between doing two languages, two cultures, all of that. I think right now I'm more self reflective and more introspective, and this is when I felt I can just sing. I don't have to appeal to this, to that, to what others are doing, and probably they made it because they had this hit song that had these two languages, for example. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I mean this intersectionality, not just with language and culture traditions, but also multiple disciplines, multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dania. But this intersection of different disciplines, everything, is a big factor to a fast progressing UAE art scene. And so my next question is, from where you are right now, from where you're sitting right now, how do you see the UAE art scene growing in the next few years, and what opportunities or risks do you notice for local talent?
It's a very good question. I think for the past few years, we stopped looking at, or maybe we're steering away from sort of a vertical growth. And now we're looking more, and across multiple fields, across multiple disciplines, we started looking really at this idea of horizontal growth. So you see people with multiple disciplines, you see people with multiple sort of specializations. And I think it's interesting that we're having this talk with the Ala Yunus sort of publication sort of research at the back. And we see a lot of that happening more and more. And we are literally so special to be currently creating at this time when there are endless opportunities around. And I'm sure you guys can relate, today's opportunities are so much different than 10 years ago or even before. And with that, I think this idea of, of course, seeking connections and so on, but we really should start looking at creating these connections for the sake of connecting with the self and connecting with the other or the community, or being part of that, rather than just looking at it as a ladder or something to step towards. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Do you have any thoughts?
No, absolutely. Listen, I don't want to give my age away over here. But yeah, no, absolutely. If you look back at 25 years ago when somebody like me had started, there wasn't so much on the scene. It's bursting on the scene right now as an artist. To be in the UAE, to come out, there are so many opportunities, there are so many accesses to spaces, to grants, to funds, to collaborations, to ideas. The encouragement that comes in both from public and private, there's a lot right now. This wasn't the case if you just go to 2000. There was nothing. People were doing things in pockets. there was no recognition of it. There was definitely no future in it. There was no career in it. So absolutely, I completely agree. Things have changed, and it's a wonderful time to be an artist here. Just as that, I'm not going to say we are at a very advanced stage if you compare to cities and places around the world which have had, decades, if not centuries of art and culture involved. We are building our story right now, and I think that's the beauty of being an artist right now, no matter what field you're in the UAE right now, because you're part of building that story. You're part of weaving that tapestry of what this will be like. One of the conversations that I always tend to have with artists who approach me who've never lived here, who come here and say, listen, I've done X, Y, Z, that's really worked well in place X, Y, or Z, this part of the world, this part of the world. I always say, listen, UAE is different. Look at it from the lens of the UAE. Even the people living here, just because they come from different parts, they have their tastes, their mindset, their acceptance of different forms of arts are very different. So curate to the audience here. What does the audience here want? And then what do you want as an artist? Mix those two and see what happens.
Thank you. I know you work as an educator, artist, choreographer. So if you have any thoughts about this question.
So I want to push back a little bit and say, this is hard. It's hard to do this work here, and not to point it to any one particular thing that makes it hard, but yes, it's growing. Yes, we want to widen instead of lengthen, and there are opportunities for grants. I don't want to say you're wrong in that, but I think it's harder than people outside the practice of art understand. And so those of you that come to NYU regularly, perhaps you don't even see how hard this is, because the Art Center and Bill and Lana and Reem do such a wonderful job of bringing in such amazing work, both from UAE and from outside, which you don't necessarily see in other places, art houses here in UAE. One of the things that I think is really hard is to understand how to navigate becoming an entrepreneur and having the license and being able to produce your own work, and that was my biggest learning curve moving to Abu Dhabi, is how can I start to produce work for professional artists, or as my role as a director of dance, and there's not a manual.
I'll agree with you. There's no manual.
And in my experience thus far, every single event that I've either produced or performed or helped to create, it seems to be a different process. And so that is an interesting piece of this, is that this is hard. It's worth every sweat and tear that I might have, but it's unlike perhaps other places that I have performed as a professional dancer and a choreographer and producer in Europe, in South America, in Asia. This particular location, to me personally, seems like it's hard. It's, yeah.
Do you have anything? Any thoughts? No. Okay. Thank you. I think I want to ask a specific question for Mary.
Okay.
So while researching, and then I saw on your website that you write leadership and artistic direction succeed when tradition and innovation are braided. I'm curious, in your own practice here, how do you balance the pull of tradition and innovation, like with the pressure to keep innovating and doing something new?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. The 100%. What I dove into right away was children's dance education. I saw that there are opportunities for children to study dance here in Abu Dhabi, wonderful places here that are privately owned and that are provided so that the parent is interested in that art form. And one of the things that I have put a lot of effort into is to get dance into schools here. So I'm a school of dance, we're in 13 different schools now. We are able to offer dance programming at a lower price point than you would in the private sector. We do have those classes in the private sector as well. So that to me really is about the tradition of continuing dance education, or not just dance education, continuing arts education as a way to grow artists, art audiences, and to provide more of a backbone of the culture that is already here, to widen that and grow it in a new way. And I think that that is now innovative, because now I see these students that have been with Emirates School of Dance prior to me arriving here, going off to do very interesting things, and being able to say that because I had the opportunity to tap or do musical theater or jazz or hip hop or ballet, I now am able to do this other thing. Go to Slovenia and have a week of art exploration. Go to Indonesia and go to Bali and go to Ubud and spend a month in some artist colony. Those kinds of things. That to me, I'm not sure would have otherwise been available if children hadn't had that. And then, as you know, the more you grow children in the arts, the more they buy tickets. As they get older, the more they provide opportunities for artists for the future. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I want to shift the conversation to a more general or practical, everyday. How has living and working in the UAE shaped your creative practice, either culturally in terms of identity or practicality in terms of everyday, day-to-day work? Who wants to go first?
I'll start. Okay. So, on identity, I think when I moved here, it was very quiet at first. Then I was able to really think of like who I really am, as cliche as it sounds, but who I am as a person, as a woman, as an artist, as a Lebanese, as an expat, as everything. I think when you step away from a situation, you're able to see it much clearer than when you're in it. So it really gave me a lot of perspective about my identity in so many ways. And my debut album is actually called My Identity in Arabic, My Hawiyati. And it was a project that I actually thought of when I was part of NUMU, the artist development program here at NYU. So it's just a full circle moment for me. And in terms of practicality, day-to-day life, I mean, it made me quit a very toxic job and just take a huge risk. And now I feel I've reached a place where I don't have a full-time job, I just have different jobs that work for me. And it's for, like, my schedule is the priority and my art is the priority. And somehow I manifested jobs that I can literally say, I have a show tomorrow, I want a week off. Sure, go ahead, enjoy. And, you know, yeah, but thank you. It took 4 years to get here, right? I've been here for 4 years, and I feel like that's when I said, like, having the audacity, like when someone calls you and says, I want you to work full time, I literally said, no, I can't do that. My priority is this and that. I can do 2 days a week. And then if it works, it works, and then it worked. So it's not always easy, and I've been in obviously some times and some moments where it was really tough for me in so many ways, financially as well, you know, trying to make it sustainable and all of that. But there's always a way to make it work, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I was here since I was 2. I'm a Sharjah kid. I don't have any other place to compare it to. This is my homeland. This is my identity. This is what I create for. This is what I work for. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I absolutely was going to say the exact same thing. I moved here when I was in kindergarten. I don't know any other place. This is home for me. So, you know, a lot of my work that got shaped through the UAE's cultural identity is when I started doing theater, always looked at shows, plays, scripts from the angle of what's the artist we need, right? You know, is this a particular group? What's the ethnic mix of this group? I always looked at plays and scripts from the angle of, well, what if we look at it from a multicultural angle? What if we had, look at this room, look around us, look at the people coming from different parts of the world. This is authentically the UAE. So my theater practice, when I direct, focuses heavily on multicultural theater and bringing different communities together. And that's where I found that my audiences started responding to me as well. They started coming in to watch that absolute idea of what they see out in their day-to-day lives over here, and got accepted very quickly. I always joke, you see Hamilton now and lots of different people playing different type of roles. We were doing this about 10, 15 years plus ago, where for lack of artists and everything, we were casting what the city looked like from different parts of the world. So that diversity really, really played into my strength, and I consider it a strength, and worked into whatever I did. So inherently, the productions that we do within the Junction, within 872, are very much diverse productions. We will cast for talent, not for looks. Even now, kind of notice boards that we run, sometimes you'll get ads and films, and I can understand that in commercial ads and films, you need to have certain looks. But we refrain from that. We always go, listen, if you think you're the right actor for this, come to auditions. Audition show us that you're the right person for this. And we run it from that perspective on purpose. And people respond to it. People come in. They suspend that belief. And we change things. To give you an example, we did Shakespeare's Othello a few years ago. And we were struggling to find an African-American actor to play the lead. And we kind of went, okay, why don't we set this and think about it in a different way? Why don't we set it in an alternative future where it is set in a desert? It is tribes. And Othello, instead of being different by skin color, is just an outsider to the tribe. And the tribe could be a very multicultural tribe, but he's an outsider. And it resonated so well with people, where the idea, everybody can understand the idea of, you're not part of our tribe. You're not part of our system. And that then drove it. And of course, the story itself at its core was about jealousy. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I love this phrase, cast the city, or cast the city. But cast the city as to what the city is, and that it's we in UAE are such a transient place to be. And so I think that that's really where I'm coming from, is this wonderful idea of getting to meet new people from Dubai and from Sharjah, and people coming in and out of Abu Dhabi. And some of my the people I worked the most with in the first 2 years was here have left, and new people are coming in all the time, and so that colors and texturizes the work, the practice that I am in. And so when I start as a choreographer, as a movement artist, and then produce something that has very little movement in it, I'm excited, because I know that means that I have grown, that I have changed. Or when I am working on something that was potentially not meant to have movement in it, but because I walked into the room and had a conversation, they decide to add some choreography to it. In my experience in the States, things are planned way in advance, and you have a production schedule, and things don't shift too much unless it's intentionally extemporaneous or improvisational. And here in Abu Dhabi, every single thing I have been a part of, what we started with and what we ended with, looked amazingly different, and thanks be to God because of it. It became what it was because we were here.
Thank you. I want to go back to what you've mentioned about having this audacity and how it took you so long to have that assertiveness in a way. My question is, do you think one could have that audacity already as a starting or emerging artist? Because there's this also this conflict on, you're just new, you're starting, and so you kind of have to adapt to the environment, especially if someone is funding your artistry. So how do we navigate that as new and emerging young artists?
I think every emerging artist or new artist that achieved anything had the audacity in the first place. I mean, if you just apply for anything related to arts, that's audacity. If it's just literally putting yourself out there, and just if you post a video on social media, that's audacity. If you talk to someone, tell them, I want to learn how to sing, how to play this instruments, it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be the audacity to go and speak to the minister of, it can be simple steps. And I think these are the steps that can take an emerging artist, because one opportunity can really change your life and can, so I think, yeah, of course, there's no other way, I think. At least that's what I've experienced, you do it shy at first. You do it while you're like, you doubt yourself, you overthink, you send a message and you start overthinking, but then it gets better. Like, I used to go on these Facebook groups when I first got here because I didn't know who to talk to. There's this group called like UAE artists and stuff like that. So I would go and see posts of people saying, we need an artist, a female singer to sing at this venue for, and I would just DM this random stranger and like send videos and just show up. So, I mean, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Now that we're on the topic of social media and Facebook, and to situate the arts scene here, not just in UAE, but also in our generation, what is your relationship with social media as an artist, especially in terms of marketing yourself or self-promotion?
I'm terrible. I'm of the generation that it had to be learned, and then it had to be utilized, and now I am still of the generation of now I'm outsourcing it for other people to do it for me. Not because I respect social media, of course. It is definitely absolutely the best way to get a new audience and a young audience. But caveat here, I think that my best successes are when I see you face to face. I meet you, we talk, I get to know, and those champions of the arts and of the work tend to be relationships that grow and prosper and live longer. So yeah, if you go to my social media sites, I don't know, I have like 100 followers, something crazy, like not very many. But I think everything we've done here in Abu Dhabi that I've been a part of has either sold out or had standing room only. Like we're never looking for an audience in that way. That's specific to the kind of work that I do though. Mm-hmm. That would not necessarily work for others. So I recognize that.
I think very much in a similar boat, social media is a little more learned for me, but as a venue, a lot of our audiences depend on social media. And I think a lot of our artists also depend on social media. No, there's so much happening, we're based out in Dubai, in Al Sarkar Avenue. There is so much happening in the avenue. There's so much happening in the city on a weekly basis that why should we come to this show? Why should we, of course there are, as you said, there are friends of artists, there are people, the communities that will always come. But then how do we attract new people? So social media has become quite important for us. Having said that, I am very wary if somebody's work completely just lives on social media and does not translate onto the stage. So in my own field, I'm just talking about my field, that if they are, hey, when I'm in front of a camera, I can do everything, but the moment I'm on a live stage, I don't know. So there has to be a balance depending on the field you're in, and absolutely full respect to those who completely earn their profession and their living from social media. We don't earn our living from social media, but social media is a very strong tool for us to get the word out, attract new audiences. We still get, I don't know about you guys, but we still get a lot of comments of, wow, there's a theater here in Dubai. Wow, there are theater groups here. There's work that's happening. The people who just don't know, and the ones who know, they absolutely know everything. And you'll see them in Dubai, in Sharjah, in Abu Dhabi, everywhere. But the ones who don't know will come. You guys have been around for 13 years, 14 years. You've been doing. Oh wow! I thought the city is nothing but concerts. So you have to. It's a great tool to educate. Maybe that's a inform and educate. At least that's how we're using it. My personal page would have a few more, but nowhere close.
Actually, I don't even know how many number.
A few more. There's a few more.
We'll check in a bit.
Yeah, go ahead. You can all like and subscribe.
For me personally, I mean, as a curator, like this is how I find artists a lot of times. Like it always starts with an online research, looking at their websites, looking at their social media, and then connecting afterwards. And as an artist, I'm not doing a great job at it. I mean, sometimes it's just as an amplifier, as you said, to like announcements and so on. And some other times it's a very rough archive. So yeah.
I can
very.
Thank you.
So I was born in 97. I think I'm like a zillennial. I'm not a millennial and I'm not Gen Z. So social media for me, it was Instagram back then. So I did post a video on Instagram when I was in university in class. I was just sitting on a table, I remember, and then it went viral. And then this video actually changed my life in so many ways. So I was much better at social media back then than I am now. I don't know, it's like the more I got into it, the more I don't want to do social media anymore. I think also TikTok was something that wasn't there when I was really posting a lot on social media. So when it came, and I didn't know how to deal with it the right way, I think. And honestly, if I don't do music right now, I don't know if I'd even have social media. It's to that point where I'm like, I use it just for my art. I don't post a lot of personal things. I do in a very calculated manner. But I did actually hire someone to work on my social media marketing strategy. So I'm like, I need to do it. It's just like having a business in that sense. Like I need to separate my personal, emotional, connection to social media and my art, and how I really want to market myself. I want people to listen to my music, so
You can't escape it.
yeah.
Can't skip it.
Yeah.
You can't skip
You're right.
it.
I mean, even for me, for tonight's art strat, I went to all your.
So you know how many followers we have.
Yes, and I think before we open the floor and space for our audiences, the last thing, if each of you could give an advice for emerging artists starting out in the UAE today, what is the most important thing they should keep in mind when building a career here? You should go first.
I'll go first.
Yes.
So just don't forget, why are you doing this? Just don't get lost in everything that's happening. Just always ask yourself, why am I doing this? Go back to like the moments where you really enjoy art and you passion for it, and look back always at the first time I don't know, if you're an artist or a dancer or a singer or whatever you do in this field, just go back to that moment where you realized you want to do this, I think. And I recommend everyone to read a book called The Artist's Way. It was really something for me. It unblocked, I had this creative block, I wasn't able to write, and it's just read it, honestly. I'm gifting it to all my blocked friends, and they don't want to read it because they're blocked. Yeah. But yeah, just not really. It's an amazing book. It is something that it takes you on a journey to really discover your true creative artistic self and find yourself again. So I highly recommend it.
Thank you.
I would say two things. One, be authentic to yourself, very much to what Nurzy said. Find your authentic self, your passion, why you're doing this. You got to believe in yourself before others believe in you. And the second advice, which I think is important for artists, no matter if they're in the UAE or otherwise, is be resilient. You're going to, it's not a rule of art. Sometimes you do your first thing and that's it. You take off from there. But chances are high that you get knocked down a couple of times before you get up again. So just be resilient to get up and get at it again. Not every piece of work you create, every piece of thing will work. Maybe it will not resonate. Maybe it will take some time to resonate. But just be resilient to keep at it. And that starts with believing in yourself and why you're doing it.
For me, I would maybe this is also like an advice to me, because sometimes I tend to take myself a bit too seriously, but really remind yourself to stay playful throughout the process, because it's hard, because you will have locked doors because of these blocks and everything. You gotta really have that sense of play, because that's where your most creative, most successful work appears at. And also remember that your journey is never in isolation, and doesn't mean that you should go and seek community, but you should also open those doors for the community around you. There is enough room and space and opportunities for everyone around. So be that person. If an opportunity comes your way and it reminds you of someone, please send it to them, please share it with them, because you will rise with the rise of others, and you will be you gotta be the helping hand in order to have that helping hand back. So
You rise with the rise of others. That's a nice quote.
Learning a lot of nice quotes today.
yeah, right.
So when we were working on the poem that jumped the fence, which was part of public art the biennial last year, and this particular performance happened every Sunday afternoon on the Corniche, we were performing a poem that was generated from another community here in Abu Dhabi. But the performance of it was to write with a 2-meter stick in the sand, wider than this room and deeper than this room. It took a couple of hours to do each time, and that performance was meditative, of course, for the performers and for those observing. But the performance generated opportunities for public to see this work in a way that they never ever intended to. So people would walk through the art while it was being made. People would stop and look at it and then want to do with. And so it became interactive unintentionally, but that was really what was so powerful. So my suggestion is, when possible, allow yourself to make art that creates conversation or interaction with others. That the audience is not just about the person that's sitting in the seat or the person that's buying the music or the person that's walking through the art gallery, but it's the audience is the person standing behind you in the checkout line who you strike up a conversation with about something, and then you find out more about them as their journey. And I think that Abu Dhabi is ripe for that. I think it's exciting.
Thank you. Yes, so if anyone has a question, the floor is open. Yes, please do.
First, thank you, everybody. I've been trying to think of how to just phrase this without being confusing or opening Pandora's box. There's a lot of different topics. I know it might differ depending on the art form. But for example, you brought up the knowledge of the commercial aspect, which is very important. Authenticity, social media, all these different things. So I guess I'll keep my question very simple, but let me just use the kind of the root of where it's coming from. It's like, okay, Van Gogh killed himself because he thought his art sucked. Because at the time of he was living, nobody thought it was good. So whatever was working in that market was commercial. It was like, oh, after he died, he went on. So I'm using that as like, in today's world, it's like, be smart commercially. It may vary depending on the art form. Like you said, music. I mean, music. What's the line between authenticity and people pleasing, or being in a way where that I know this will hit? And I guess my ultimate thing is more just a thought, like who controls that, and can artists take that back and redefine what is valuable and what deserves to be seen by everybody versus this is what's the machine keeps rotating. This is what makes where is that line? Just thoughts, and I'll give a right answer. As fellow creatives, I would love to just hear it.
I don't think. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't think there is a right, wrong answer. I don't think there is a blueprint for this. If there was, I think each of us would be sitting with it and going, okay, done, and success. I think it differs, as you say very honestly, it differs situation to situation, art form to art form, artist to artist, market to market, audience to audience. It differs. I don't know how best to explain it, maybe I'm not putting it in the right words. As you keep doing this, you will find your own voice. You'll find your own gut. At least I did. You find your own, this is working. When I'm curating and I'm looking at theater groups, many theater groups come to me and they'll go like, Gautam, I want to put this up, or can you advise, what do you think will happen? And I go, look, from my experience, my point of view, this is what's going to work. But there are so many pieces of work where I've said, I don't think it'll work, or it might not work, and it's really gone on to do some wonderful things. I don't think there's a clear right, wrong answer. I think you have to try, you have to experiment, you have to be true to yourself. When sustainability and commercialization comes in, that is for yourself. Look, we don't live in a city or a country where it's very easy without commercial work to sustain yourself. Let's be honest over here. And if you need to sustain yourself, you have to find that right balance of what is the commercial side of it versus what is the artistic side of it, and how much that satisfies your soul that's for you to decide where that right balance hits. But there is a balance point for you. And that answer for you is very different for me, is different for the artists on this panel and others in the audience. You'll only have to experiment, try and fail and succeed and see where that goes. I hope that makes sense. Of course, others might have differing views.
I mean, I would also will ask you back, like, how do you define success? What are you seeking? Because I define success very differently than what you do, and so
absolutely.
on. I don't like. I have a day job. I don't need to profit from my art. So my definition of success within my art is so different.
Yeah.
But then also there is an audience for everything. I mean, look at us. We're like in 2025. But also, if you don't know your voice or you're still unsure of your voice, the audience that you might get does not match, and maybe that's where the detachment will happen to you. So, good luck, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not a right.
Again, there's no right answer I'm looking for. It's more thoughts.
Yeah.
And I agree. We each define it, but maybe I'm particular with music. I'm in the realm of hip hop, and music is your streams, your number. That's
Yes.
what others define as success.
So
I consider tell you I'm the best rapper in the world, and I believe it. I really do.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe I am. My heart, I really do. But
then you should love
then I look, but to others, like, no, where's your proof? I have my own. Listen to me.
Yeah.
But like, my point is, I'm not getting brand deals and making millions. I work a day job. I work this.
That, I think, is the beauty of what was just mentioned. How do you define success? Do you define success as those brand deals and those wonderful things, or do you define success as, I believe I'm the best, I'm putting out the best work I can, and that for me is enough? Then great. It really, I think your point hits home.
Thank you for sharing. There's no right answer.
There's no right answer. And that's the honest truth. There's no right answer. For each of us, that hits differently.
I think also what brought us here tonight, building a life as an artist, that how you identify that within yourself, all of us identify that within yourself, is really important. If paying the bills and becoming famous and having notoriety worldwide is your idea of what success is as an artist, then that's absolutely the right thing for you.
Yeah.
But I know that some of us here on the panel come to our life as an artist for different reasons and seek something else than that.
Yes, please.
So I think maybe from the left of you, there's been a little bit more rootedness in the answers that were given. So I'd say from yourself all the way to the right, I definitely have a question on, how you make it here as an artist is one thing. I think talking about here and really finding your roots here, that you use the term transience, which generally stirs up a lot of emotions for me, because the UAE, as you can see from the left, is not a transient place for a lot. Transience does come with a space of privilege and a conversation that is very privileged. So as artists, how do you root yourself here within the UAE? And at the end of the day, given the fact that the United Arab Emirates is a diverse space, how do you give back to the space that is, and root yourself to the space that is also giving you these opportunities? Thank you.
What if I say I'm intentionally not building roots, not planting roots for myself, but very intentionally, anyone that has worked with me knows I'm very intentionally creating opportunities for people to continue to do the kind of work that I brought after I leave. So that to me is more important than anything that I do today or 6 months from now or what I did 2 years ago. It's the fact that there are people in the room that I met along the last 4 years that started to collaborate together or started to do different kinds of work, and that they will continue to do that work perhaps here or elsewhere. So that to me is the roots. That's the longevity. That's the foundation of the growth here in Abu Dhabi. Lillian's here, and she and I did the first project I did here in Abu Dhabi. We did together, and then Gabriella and Carmen and Yulia here, and the last project I did here in Abu Dhabi. So it's just really that's to me more important. Whether anyone says, "Oh, Mary Chase did that," I don't care. What I care is that people keep going. Yeah. You have anything?
I'm thinking about it. It's a very deep question.
Yeah.
I need time to think.
If I may add, it's true that each situation is different, and that it's great when you are a teacher and when you seed something like you were mentioning.
for students in schools and to continue the next generations to come to be here or to decide to stay here. So each one has the choice. But I think Munira was saying that it's also, I understood it that way, that it seemed like it was a transient place for everyone. That's it.
Yeah.
I think that's
Fair.
what you understood.
I'd agree with the statement. It's not transient for everyone, but yes, we have to acknowledge that artists come and artists go. I think the important thing is each artist that comes, stays here, creates work, and even if they go, they're taking a piece of the UAE with them.
Yeah.
And that's why for me, when I say we become a exporter and we start telling stories, I'm using very commercial terms here, sorry, I realize that, but we become a net exporter of telling our stories. Because what are the stories that we are telling outside the UAE? How do people perceive us when we go in for festivals, when we go in for artist residencies? What are they taking back? The experiences and things that have shaped them here, they're taking those elsewhere and creating. I think that is a big win for the UAE as well. Because the space has shaped us. Of course it has. It has influenced us.
To add on to that, I think, and for me, from my perspective, being a Emirati, Abu Dhabi born and raised, etc., you are and working within the cultural field. You are actively participating within this field that is surely going to also affect your practice. I think there was perhaps a particular tone of like, we are here and we've done this and this is what we've learned elsewhere and we've opened up this space within the United Arab Emirates, but surely, I think, on the other end, the United Arab Emirates, I guess the question of roots is also, the United Arab Emirates surely should have somehow, one way or
100%.
another, impacted or influenced the way that you've practiced
100%.
your practice.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Actually, I have a question. I'm very new to this country, and I've noticed the spaces that I've been in have been very, I don't like the word expatriate, but immigrant, or I would try to be in a space that would be more predominantly Emirati. And I'm wondering how to find this bridge to be more connected to the Emirati population, because I do feel like I've lived in many countries, but I do feel like there's a certain decorum that I want to present or include in my approach to people here, because I don't want to be disrespectful and I want to be learning
When you say new?
Well, I got married in January, so officially since January I've been here.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I've been coming back and forth and working outside of the country for about 3 years now.
It's very easy. Very easy. You know what to say? Hi.
Yeah.
Let's have coffee now.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll have coffee.
Sorry guys, we'll be out.
I'm sure that all Emiratis are
Hey, I
the
did
same.
my job. You guys met? I did my job.
I think there's maybe a timidness that, or wanting to be coming into a space without disrupting it in a way where you feel like, oh, this is what I know, so what can I teach you? Rather more instead of like,
What can I learn?
What can I learn from you, or what can we learn from each other?
100%. I think there has been a very toxic term that's been overutilized the last 10 years, which is knowledge transfer. And knowledge transfer comes from the West only, and comes and teaches us how to be knowledged, you know. And then what ends up happening, especially in the space of culture, is that it is the knowledge transfer goes from us, the people that are based here, you know, including, you know, my homies here on the left-hand side, back to these people that are here transiently. You know, it's a very transactional kind of space. I think it's important to define what it is that you want. I think the Emirati population, if I may speak on behalf of myself and my peers and other Emiratis that are here, extremely hospitable,
Yes.
Very like open door policy. You know, there's a lot of things that are incredible. I hate to hear that so intimidating.
Actually, I want to say
Yeah.
something. I've had last week 2 curators and 2 artists staying at my place that are from another part of the world. and who came here, and some of them who are here and go back and forth like you. And I have an open door policy,
Yeah.
like what Mira is saying, and we really like it when people approach. It's a cultural thing. We respect boundaries, so
Yes.
we don't go and introduce ourselves as much if it doesn't make sense to the situation. But if someone does, you will notice
Yes.
and you will remember me that everyone is open. And I hope that all of you here, whether you are living here or whether you're born here and everything, as an Emirati, to say that, because this is an important subject to discuss, and we as Emiratis hear so many different things from different discussions that is very healthy to have. And like you said, could create friendship or a connection. So yes, it's just like I'm sorry I came here without knowing the names, but I really liked what you said when you should ask and ask and you shall receive. So ask and you
Also
shall
keep
receive.
in mind that the Emirati population is like 12%.
8%,
9%. We're a dwindling population. so it's like
but very strong.
100%. So
If you find one, hold on to it.
8 million.
yeah, so that's also a
Yeah.
point
If,
to approach.
yeah, I think if I can just add, I think you've taken a first step to just say, how can I integrate? How can I learn?
Yeah.
I think that's the most important one. And then people, what I found is definitely here, but anywhere in the world, if you ask people, hey, how can I learn from you? I don't think anybody who is truly connected to the art tells you,
Yeah.
don't want to tell you.
Art is general.
Art generally tends to unite and bring people together. So I think you're asking the right questions. You'll make some wonderful friends here.
And I would like to give a very nice thing. You reminded me of that my father told me once. My father is also an artist. I'm an artist too. And he told me an artist is الفنان وايد كريم, which means artist is very generous.
Yeah.
And I asked him why, and he said, because if you make art and you know, whether you decide to show it or not, but when you show it, this is a type of generosity.
Correct.
It's,
Yeah, it'll work.
it's good to,
Yeah. So do connect.
No, but art in general, also with people, with learning, like with social connections, but also with educational, pedagogical kind of way of living in the university or in institutions or other as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Do we have time for one more or no?
Do we still have one more? One more question?
I'll go. So for me, first of all, thank you guys very much. I loved every part of the insights, from the opportunities to the bottlenecks and everything in between. For me, when I talk about arts and culture, I think like our biggest denominator with regards to that is human capital. It's looking back that we are humans, and in arts and culture, internationally, we are more women represented within arts and culture, which is great, because there lies a lot of more empathy and passion and so forth. But also we have a young population worldwide within arts and culture. Today what brings us together is NYU Art Center and Hikaya and a year of community. And a ruler who did an open call at the beginning of this year when they announced Year of Community, inviting the community to help shape bold decisions and strategies to help develop the nation that we all call home to. So, considering our topic is how do artists make it sustainably and thrive, and when the creatives are the most important within that ladder, because without them, the institutions, governors, etc., are all built around them. What's each of you, if you could give like one ultimate thing that could help build on the foundation for the youth, for the women, for the arts, for the culture, for the nation that we all call home? Like one big foundational thing that could help us transform societies when it comes to art and culture or creativity, artists.
Specific to UAE.
Yeah, what could get us really transforming the future of arts and culture for our next generation societies?
I'm happy to start. I think the UAE does a lot of things wonderfully. I think we need to create more platforms where the governing institutions understand what artists go through and what are the day-to-day challenges of arts. I'll give you an example. I was called in for a meeting where we were talking about governance around theatre and how the theatre community works. And the kind of challenges that different communities were facing were night and day. Where one community was saying funding is not a problem, creative work and coming across it and building it is the problem. The other community was saying creative work is not the problem, funding. And it was really surprising to the people in the room that, okay, the challenges are night and day. I think more platforms to be able to share that and policies that then shape that sort of a narrative, understanding the challenges of artists locally, I think will help. I think a lot of things have changed for the positive, for the better. Like I said, when I started 2000, it was more of the dark ages. Now it's a lot brighter, and that's why, it's still not fixed. I agree with you, there's a lot more things that are hard and difficult as well. I think the more these dialogues continue and the more policies change around it and help artists, I think that'll help. And there are very specific things we can get into, but that's a longer conversation.
I think for me, talking about community, I am here because of the community around me. I am here because of every single person around that actually gave me an advice, mentored me unofficially, inspired me to switch from design to fine arts, taught me, I literally trace it back to my 6th grade art teacher until the person that, invited me to this and so on and so forth. So I think to continue that cycle, because we are at the end of the day the sum of all the experiences and the people that are around us, is to start acting like that. Whether you're a student, whether you're getting your first job, whether you're getting your first opportunity, look at the people around you and see who can you inspire today, who can you mentor unofficially today, who can you extend that extra hand to, whether it's towards your cousin, whether it's towards your intern, whether it's towards whoever it might be. Because at the end of the day, art and culture, or art stands as a witness to the culture, right? And that's how we understand our histories, that's how we understand ourselves, and so on and so forth. So you really gotta extend that and hold that torch very dearly and take everything as a responsibility, because it is not the responsibility of one. And yes, of course, fundings and such things could be a huge responsibility of the government and so on, but still, I think it is a responsibility of every single individual. And if we take that responsibility seriously, we get more people in this room and we get more generations and more from young to older.
Yeah, I second what they said. I think it's not just one thing. It's a lot of things happening at the same time in the right way. But definitely also hearing out the artists and seeing what they really need, because sometimes you think they need this and they actually need something different, and different disciplines maybe need different things. So I think this is very important as well to just, and you also touched on that we're humans, to also understand we're all humans, so not to see it just from the outside as something that is just commercialized or generalize what artists need, right? To hear them out through different ways, like surveys and talking to the artists and just hearing them out. And then of course community and helping others just like others helped you, and you tracing it back to your teacher. And just maybe sometimes you're just in a random dinner and someone says something, and it's just, of course, community is very important thing. I think that naturally grows, right? The more we meet, the more it gets bigger. And so yeah, I think it's a lot of different factors, but we're on the right track, I think. I believe.
May I add a point from the back of the room? I'm very sorry. I feel like I'm داخلة نفسي في الconversation.
No,
بس policies. يعني المفروض إنه we have policies that are very specific to creative practices. So for example, يعني I always give this example. When I opened up, there was a curatorial lab. I had to open it up as I'm a curator and I have an incredible team, most of which are here. I had to open it up as an interior design company.
Yeah.
Because that was the closest thing to curation. Then that, and I think specificity will really help us within the space. So policies are really, really important. How can I exist here as a, like expats that have come in? How can I exist here purely as a creative? A, B, how can we make it work for the locals that exist here? So I think policy breakdown is something that would be truly, immediately, extremely helpful for the creative.
Agreed.
But I would say, I hope you've had this example as well. I would say that once I got to the place where I knew who the right person to talk to was, or what the right process was, that open arms, truly open arms, such warmth and really wanting to support the work we were doing, and had that exact example happen this last weekend at the Mansour Festival, beautiful festival for families. And as soon as we were asked to perform, I said, I'm sorry, but the children who are performing, although are from all over the world, do not perform traditional Gulf dances, but here is the video of the dances that we will perform. As soon as they saw it, absolutely, open arms, yes, please come. And that's all it usually takes. So when I say it's hard, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. But finding that person.
Yes.
Then it's not easy. Where is this person?
There's no manual.
There's no manual. Where is this person? How do I build this wasta?
Call Bill. He knows.
That's where years can go by.
Yeah.
And
On that note of opening arms, as we come to the end of tonight's arts chat, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks and gratitude to our panelists. And also to everyone for being here and staying here with us. And yeah, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you for the next Off the Stage event.